Poor school pride is like cancer. It affects both teachers and students. Certain organs and physiological mechanisms in the human body may continue to perform well despite the presence of cancer in other areas, but ultimately in the end, left untreated, cancer will kill. The same is true for schools that have students and teachers with poor school pride. Nowadays, the focus of education reform is on failing schools. Poor test scores are the impetus for this effort. The increased awareness of the need to reform education leads many to believe that standardization is the answer. Research clearly shows this ideology to be false, yet our education policymakers rush headlong with programs such as No Child Left Behind and the Common Core state standards. I propose that failing schools are not the cause of poor test results. Rather, poor parent and student attitude is the reason. If we want schools to improve, we need to focus on the socioeconomic inequalities in the community and the social and emotional learning needs of the students. We must find ways to foster stronger parent engagement. Horace Mann once said education is a great social equalizer. His philosophy was to provide the poor, disabled, and children of color with a way to raise their social condition through education. One can infer from this philosophy that a benevolent society cares about its youth. Within any society, there are often multiple and competing purposes for schooling. Since the time of Horace Mann, the changes in education often originate from political, social, and economic forces. These forces drive education policy and how we teach in the classroom. Stewart makes the argument that the United States' poor performance is due to high levels of poverty and not low levels of school quality. I agree. Unfortunately, our policymakers are scrambling for answers, and they come up with things such as NCLB and the Common Core. The creation of the Common Core state standards is a product of cooperation between private interests, philanthropic entities like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the National Governors Association, and the Council of Chief State School Officers. The main selling point is that it provides a means by which educators can better prepare students for higher education or immediate employment. Their hypothesis is that uniformity in learning standards will significantly reduce existing academic inequality among schools. Unfortunately, there is scant evidence of success with this hypothesis. Critics suggest that America's attempt to fix schools is through programs like Common Core is moving rapidly and radically in the wrong direction. Just think about it. We spend $1.7 billion each year on testing. What would happen if we didn't spend that money? For the past 2 decades, education has seen significant changes in the way we do things. NCLB, Common Core, Race to the Top are just a few of these changes. Common Core is the current push. Unfortunately, it's not supported by scholarly research, and according to Krashen, it creates a rigid test prep version of schooling. Although Common Core is standards and not curricula, Toscano posits that Common Core summons extensive control in other directions. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences suggests that all people learn in different modalities. Some are musical while others are kinesthetic. Some are visual learners while others are auditory learners. Gardner's theory implies teachers should consider these differences among children and modify the curriculum to suit a particular child's learning modality. Krashen points to language arts standards that are essentially force teachers into direct instruction because the standards are so rigorous and demanding. Modifying the curriculum, as Gardner suggests, is very time-consuming. Krashen criticizes Common Core because its very nature of high-stakes testing and the impact it may have on the learning process. Teachers must stop teaching and conduct massive amounts of testing throughout the school year, thus lessening the time teachers will spend on helping students learn and wasting valuable funds in the process. Joanne Yatvin, an elementary school teacher and principal for most of her life, believes that Common Core is unrealistic in its expectation of what children ages 5 to 11 should know. Some of the literary requirements of the Common Core expect children with only 2 or 3 years of schooling to know sophisticated use of words before they have a command of their native language at home. According to Sir Ken Robinson, the education system model we use today is outdated. Our system is a product of change from the time of the Enlightenment into the era of industrialization. Robinson posits that children today have a vastly different need than children in the time of Horace Mann. Another of Robinson's criticisms is the question of whether standardization is a good thing at all. According to Robinson, there are three fundamental aspects of human life to flourish. First, we are all different from one another. Education policies like NCLB and Common Core try to make everyone the same through conformity. The current Common Core standards have a very narrow focus on STEM courses, when in reality our education experience should include more creativity and culturally relevant subjects such as the fine arts and vocational courses. Secondly, kids are naturally curious, and when you can spark a desire to explore, they will learn without our help, learn it better, and with greater retention. Lastly, creativity and adaptability is what employers want most in employees. The ability to be creative and use one's imagination is the hallmark of success regardless of the business. Robinson believes standardization stifles creativity and that it's moving education reform in the wrong direction. The first step in solving the problem of failing schools is to define the problem completely. Problem definition typically includes searching for the root cause and effecting change. I submit schools are not failing, and the correct term is student failure. I believe this comes from poor attitude toward school by both parents and students, and thus is the reason test scores are low. Even so, low test scores are a symptom. My position is that poor student and parent attitude toward school is strongly influenced by socioeconomic inequality. According to Foreman, our education system is bifurcated. For the privileged, public education works just fine. For the poor, students are undereducated at best and illiterate at worst. Foreman calls it ghetto education, the creation of second-class citizens from a system that is aversive, exclusionary, and punitive, which ultimately feeds the school-to-prison pipeline. Students and families who must endure ghetto-like conditions promote this poor attitude toward school. One cannot overlook the difference in academic achievement and student behavior issues between happy and motivated students versus unhappy and unmotivated students. Because unhappy students tend to act out and become troublesome in the classroom, the most common knee-jerk reaction is disciplinary referral. The pedagogy of punishment is widespread, and in the American education system we often treat unruly students as threats to the society. This is because there are instances of grave student violence. To protect ourselves, we use heightened security measures such as metal detectors, drug-sniffing dogs, and zero-tolerance policies. These measures are commonplace today, and according to Foreman, they have turned our schools from places of democratic education into sites of social control and punishment. The problem with these measures is that they are akin to firefighting, when in fact we really should be preventing fires. Finland, Hong Kong, and Singapore do not suffer from student and parental apathy toward school. In fact, these countries have great pride in their schools and, more importantly, great pride in their teachers. These countries are shining examples of the positive outcomes from implementing radical education reform. Stewart suggests the reason for this pride is because policymakers in these countries were able to reverse public opinion about schools. They did so by providing social assistance programs with purpose and commitment. There are many pervasive factors affecting positive student performance on international standardized tests from progressive countries such as Finland, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Self-admittedly, Finland had a deplorable education system prior to the 1960s. Their economy then was primarily agriculture and forest products, with very little spending on social programs and education. In 1970, less than 40% of the population had attained a high school or higher education. Finnish social programs such as free national health care, free meals at school, and comprehensive preschool contribute to Finland's status as a world leader in education. Families no longer fear the high cost of health care. All children have free access to comprehensive preschool. Upon entering public school at age 7, these children are well prepared and ready to further their education. Another way Finland retains its leading stature is through increasing the educational requirement for teachers and generously increasing teacher salaries. In Finland, a teacher's pay is commensurate with equivalent education requirements in other career fields such as engineering. The result of Finland's raising the education requirement and starting salary for beginning teachers are the increase in quality of teacher applicants and an increase in the size of the teacher applicant pool. In California, schools receive money based on a formula that monitors the average daily attendance of each student. Currently, the average is $7,643 per student per year. In my district, there's an average of 10% student absenteeism. At 14,400 students in the district, 1,440 students equates to an average loss of approximately $11 million each year from absenteeism. Of those 1,440 students, let's assume there's a 10% absenteeism from lack of interest. This equates to approximately a loss of $1.1 million in ADA revenue. One can easily surmise that efforts to decrease student apathy through reinstating vocational education and technology programs, along with performing and fine arts classes, would be a profitable venture. The literature is replete with pros and cons regarding the efficacy of various educational reform movements. Common Core is the current topic of discussion, and many scholars are skeptical of the promises the architects made. I too am skeptical that Common Core alone is the answer with the problem of low test scores. I do believe there is some merit to standardizing the curriculum as a framework, but I believe that Common Core is a very good attempt too. However, it's not enough. I propose an answer to the problem of low test scores is not with monitoring academic performance using costly standardized tests. Rather, the problem is parent and student apathy. If we were to administer these high-stakes tests no longer, we could use that money more effectively in the community and bring about a reversal of attitude towards school and education. Here is my plan for raising student pride in schools and thus raise individual commitment to achieving academic success. First, on each Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, we send the school buses back into the community and bring the entire family to school. From babes in arms to great-grandma and great-grandpa, everyone comes to school on these evenings. Once at school, we feed everyone with a free meal such as a spaghetti meal or similar low-cost but wholesome meal. After the meal, paid certificated teachers await those who need tutoring. Everyone is welcome to attend the tutoring sessions. I believe that when parents of the students learn the same thing the students learn in class, homework assignments will be easier to complete and thus student grades will improve. While the parents are in classes, the students of the Child Development Department have babysitting duty. This babysitting relieves the parents of worry about their little ones. Simultaneously, the football field lights are on and organized soccer and flag football games are going on. The same thing is happening in the school gym. Organized basketball, volleyball, and fitness training are happening. In the school theater, there are movie nights where an entire family can watch a recent movie or swim in the heated Olympic pool. For those who are craft-oriented, in the art room and shop classes are available for use and round out the program. My belief is that when community views the school as a valuable resource and not just as a school, parent and student apathy diminishes and school pride increases. With an increase in school pride, there is corresponding decrease in antisocial behavior and graffiti and vandalism. Perhaps the most important benefit of this program is improved student academic achievement. When people perceive the school as a place where children can prosper, the surrounding community will improve because of building construction and associated economic growth. Ultimately, there will be an increase in community pride and a reduction in criminal activity. It can happen if we want it to.